Hello, my name's Helen Bruff. I'm a consultant in pediatric allergy and clinical immunology and a professor of pediatric allergy. I'm the founder and director of Children's Allergy Doctors. I'm delighted to be here with Lenita from Global Parents for Eczema Research, where we talk about eczema breakthroughs, and I go through some simple strategies to help parents of children with eczema manage the bathing and moisturising. I have over 20 years of experience in managing children with eczema and food allergy, and I'm passionate about providing evidence-based, practical strategies for parents to help them manage their child's eczema. There is lots of confusion when it comes to eczema management, and people get a lot of different advice. And so I wanted to provide some clear advice on how to bathe the child with eczema and also how to moisturize them. The first thing when it comes to bathing is that it is important to have a bath rather than a shower. What I also recommend is making sure that the bath is not hot. So it needs to be tepid or lukewarm, no more than 32 degrees centigrade. In terms of what's in the bath, it should be just water, no additives, no bubble bath, no bath oils, because that has actually been shown to make the eczema worse. What I recommend is that the families put a soap substitute or a cream wash onto their child's skin before they get in the bath, because water in itself is actually drying. Now, it's important that the child is not allowed to stay in the bath for longer than 10 minutes, because being inside a bath of water can actually dry the skin. I recommend that the child is taken out of the bath and then patted dry very gently so that there's no damage of the skin. Thereafter, it's really important that the child is moisturized within 3 minutes, ideally, of coming out of the bath.
In the US, they call this soak and seal.
Now, when it comes to actually moisturizing the skin, it's important to know how much. This is the standard size of container that you find moisturizers. This contains 454 grams of a cream. Now, in terms of how much this needs to be applied, for a child that's under the age of 2, it's 250 grams per week. So that's over half of this container. For a child between the ages of 2 and 10 years, it's between 250 and 500 grams of moisturizers. And then in children over the age of 10, it is always over 500 grams per week of moisturizer. Then the other thing that I always talk about with my families is that it's really important to know how to apply the moisturizer. The first thing is to never put sanitizer on your hands before applying moisturizer. Sanitizer is actually really irritating because it often contains about 70% alcohol, and imagine putting that onto broken, inflamed skin in your child. That's going to cause stinging and make them very uncomfortable. So what is important is just to wash your hands properly. Now, one of the other very important things that I talk about is making sure that the pot of ointment that you have does not become contaminated with bacteria or viruses. So you can imagine this pot. Often people get a pot like this, and they're not told not to put their hand inside the pot. You can imagine that once you put your hand inside that pot, the cream in this pot is a perfect solution for the bacteria to grow and grow at room temperature, just like agar in a lab. Children with eczema don't have certain immune function in their skin. So they don't have, for example, antimicrobial peptide, and that helps to fight off different pathogens in the skin like bacteria or viruses. The other thing is that we know that the most common bacteria in eczematous skin that becomes infected is called Staphylococcus aureus. Now, Staphylococcus aureus produces a toxin, and that interacts with the immune system of the skin. And what happens is that then, if the child is exposed to foods in the environment that go onto the skin, the immune system on the skin sees that as an invading pathogen and then sees it as something that it needs to become allergic to. So what can we do instead? Now, there are these containers that also have pumps. So you can either buy one of these or you can just buy a tube. And that is the easiest way to prevent that from happening. Now, one of the other things that I always advise is that you need to apply the moisturizers in the correct way. So once your child has come out of the bath, what you need to do is provide a thick layer of moisturizer, enough so that you can actually see that the child's skin is white. And then you need to move the cream in the direction of the hair. And then you need to allow time for that moisturizer to sink in. And if you're interested in eczema and would like to have more resources, then please go to www.children'sallergydoctors.com, where there are lots of videos and useful resources for you.